and I didn't have anyone to talk to prior who did the same journey. Resources as a medical student, I found it very helpful for my learning.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Today we have our student Shan, who, as a visa-seeking applicant, matched in internal medicine. So we wanted to just get some tips from her for all of you who may be going into the match in the coming season or subsequent season. So welcome, Shan, and we're very glad and thankful that you could make it today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Shan, let's start off with your USMLE journey a bit. Tell our audience a bit about where you went to med school, when you graduated, and all of that.
Yeah, so I'm from Australia, and I went to med school at the University of Melbourne, and I finished I graduated late 2021, and then since then I've been working in training as a doctor. In Australia, we call it general medicine, but it's the equivalent of internal medicine. So I've done an internship and then later 2 years of general medicine training, and then I applied for the US internal medicine match.
Yeah. So, out of curiosity, what prompted you to get into the USMLE journey? It's not that popular, I guess, from Australia. We don't see many students, but what was the driver?
Yeah, so I am the only person I know that was Australian and applied for the US match. So it was a very lonely journey, but I really enjoyed using the USMLE resources as a medical student. I found it very helpful for my learning, and I think from there it just kind of snowballed. I looked into the programs. I quite enjoyed the research opportunities that were offered in America. The programs itself taught things that I appreciated would be good skills, like POCUS. Many programs have POCUS. Many programs have research integrated into their training. And I thought it would be a good training opportunity to learn more skills. So I decided to apply.
Yeah. So now let's talk specifically about the journey towards match. What were some of the challenges you faced?
Yeah, I think for me, some of the challenges was that I am from Australia and I didn't have anyone to talk to prior who did the same journey. Second would be also the fact that my personal application was actually quite rushed, and so using Sarthi resources was very helpful. And I think those two will probably be the biggest challenges on my end. A bit about being quite isolated in this journey. As I said, I didn't know anyone who had done this before, so there was no seniors to talk to. And it's a very convoluted process through applications to interviews to getting your visa sorted. So I really appreciated having a community, although online at Sarthi, there was a lot of resources, there was a lot of guidance. And so each step, like the important points of each step, I was able to grasp. And I think that helped me a lot. And I think the second thing was my application process was quite rushed. I hadn't decided initially to come to the US when I applied. It would have been last year now. And so I sat my USMLEs, I think quite late. And then the applications opened maybe 1 or 2 weeks after I received my step 2 results. So it was quite rushed for me. And I think, again, having the process and having, resources from Sarthi, like how to write a cover letter, how to do an interview, like all of that helped me get things moving from my end. So the application, was successful in the end, which is really good.
Yeah. And, so in terms of, specifics, outside of your experience and great scores you had, did you do any kind of US clinical experience, either tele or on-site? What about research? Some of those components.
Yeah, so again, my application was rushed. So I didn't do an in-person rotation. I only did a telehealth rotation, and it lasted for over 1 month. It was the only option I had while working full-time in Australia. So I'd work full-time in the morning, and because of the US timing being at the time it was 16 hours behind us, I was able to fit it in at night time. So that was the only way that I could do it. And it was a good experience to be exposed to the US healthcare system a little bit before coming. Was there another question you asked me? Sorry.
Research, sorry. So any
research.
Specific in research?
Yeah, so in terms of research, I had done an honours year before my medical school. My medical school itself was an MD, so there was a research component to it. And I'm currently working on a systematic review, but I had nothing published to put it onto my application. So I do have research experience to talk about, but yeah, I didn't have publications listed on my application.
So if you were to turn the clock back maybe a year, so April of last year, what would be your tips for applicants, or what would you do differently or not change?
So I think in April, I wasn't, if I had turned back time and did it again, I would probably make sure that the process wasn't as rushed as it was for me, which means I think looking into, first of all, like what specialty I want to do, lock that in. For me, I was very clear, but for other applicants, that's important. I would spend time, I think during my application, one of the biggest tips is knowing yourself throughout the process. You know, your whole application, you have to be able to show them that you as a person, where you came from and what direction you want to go in the future, and that you're committed to this specialty or this training. And that shows through your application. So spending time reflecting on yourself is really important. And then I think the last thing would be, if you can get US clinical experience, is really good because it exposes you to the job that you're going to do in the future and whether you like it or not. And also the skills that you should be aware of to build. So if I could have done that, I would have. And I think the cherry on top would be if you could get some kind of research done and publish it, or at least submit it for publication. That will be helpful as well. Yeah.
Before we wrap up, any insights or I guess surprises from the interview process? Anything that you felt was, it was unexpected line versus wow, I didn't really expect the interview to go like this?
I had a few interviews, and I think most of the interviews were quite standardized in terms of their questions. So after, doing a few, I realized they do ask very similar questions during each interview. And I think the one thing that in hindsight, looking back, is that they have selected candidates for interviews already based on your CV and what your scores. And so then I think, in my opinion, I don't know what the scoring system is on the other side, but in my opinion, I think it's less about, all your achievements that they can see on your CV and your scores. And it's more about you as a person. They want to be able to hire a real person with, dreams or good personality that's able to work well with people. And I think those, human aspects is very important to show through. And again, that's where knowing yourself becomes very important. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Shan. Anything else we missed that you want to cover?
I think that's the most of it. I think it's good to have a community of people to do the application process with, because at times there's a lot of questions that you might have, and it's very normal to feel a little bit, at times a little bit uncertain about things. So it's good to have people to talk to during the process.
Well, thank you very much, Shan, for your time. Appreciate it, and good luck for your upcoming residency.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for watching. We hope that video provided valuable insights for your journey. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And check out our website for details on how we can guide you to a successful match.